Hello, welcome to Tuesday, November 3rd, daily instructional video. Okay, today we're going to do your warm-up, and I'll go over that in just a moment. And then we're going to working on the second page. I know you did a little bit of it yesterday with the topic sentences, and you're going to try to complete your T-chart today. Going back to Google Classroom, that means that you will need to go back to your worksheet, expository essay planning, and click on that. And you would need to go to the second page. You should have been working on this part where you wrote your thesis statement. And today we're going to be focusing on the T-charts for their body paragraph. So this is what we'll be working on. Again, this was posted yesterday, the worksheet expository essay planning remote. And you'll need to go back to Google Classroom, and you'll need to find that assignment listed in the classwork section. Okay, so going to our warm-up, we're going to be doing for the next 3 days what's called MUG, Mechanics, Usage, and Grammar, where you're doing correcting some writing. In the following two sentences, you have 15 mistakes. So that has to do with grammar, punctuation, every little comma or period or misspelling. All that has added up to 5 different mistakes that you have to correct. So what I want you to do on your Google form is you'll rewrite these sentences and you will write them correctly, error-free. So that means you'll be making corrections. If you see anything that's misspelled, you'll be writing it correctly. If you see a comma is missing, you'll need to use the comma. If you see any kind of sentence fragments, then that means you need to write it as a complete sentence. Run-on sentences, then you need to separate them. So any kind of grammatical error you see, you're not going to write it when you rewrite these 2 sentences. So go ahead and pause the video right now and go to Google Classroom and complete your Google Form warm-up for the day. Okay. So let's go over the warm-up. This year, writing will be a major focus. It's important to understand grammar rules. Without them, your writing is difficult to understand. Once a week, we'll begin class with one of these sets of MUG sentences. MUG, by the way, is an abbreviation of Mechanics, Usage, and Grammar. All right, so this year, we need to put a comma after that. That is our little introductory clause. Writing will be a major focus. It's important to understand grammar rules. Without them, your writing was difficult. So we have a run-on here. So we want to go ahead and end here as a major focus, period. So we're going to take out that comma and we're going to put a period here. And that means we're going to start a new sentence. And it's not it's, okay? It is. So we need to capitalize the first word in the sentence and change this contraction to it is. It is important to understand grammar, misspelled, rules. Without them, your writing is difficult to understand. So this is a run-on, and we have a comma splice going on right here. We cannot join 2 sentences together with a comma, but we can join them since they're closely related with a semicolon. So without them, comma, your writing, this is not your, this is you are. So we need to make sure we're using the proper your writing is difficult to understand. So that shows possession. Once a week, comma, introductory clause, we'll begin. So that should be we will. We need our contraction there. We will begin class with one of these sets of MUG sentences. Again, as we have a run-on, a comma splice. So we need to put a period there to separate the 2 sentences. MUG, by the way, we put a comma around those, around this phrase, is an abbreviation of mechanics, usage, comma, and grammar. We're listing, so we need to make sure we use a comma, and then we have grammar misspelled as well. And then we're missing a period, and that period needs to go inside the quotation mark. So hopefully you caught all those grammar errors. So like I said, you're going to go back to Google Classroom, go to this assignment, and you're going to click on the worksheet, the expository essay planning, and you should be on this page here. And you're going to go back to your helps worksheet and think about the examples. You've already written your thesis statement. So how are you going to prove that thesis statement is true? What examples are you going to use to support your essay, to help your reader understand how your thesis statement is true? All right, so you would need to complete a T-chart. So we're going to go ahead and write, we have a section here for a topic sentence. So we will need to go back to our thesis statement and look at what is the first thing we have listed in our thesis statement. Whatever that first word is, however, whatever you say, words can inspire change by, whatever the first thing we say after by, this will be our first T-chart. Now, once we get both T-charts done, we're going to decide which of these are the strongest T-chart. And then, of course, we would want that to be our second body paragraph. So we'll make sure that that's listed second in our thesis, and it's our second body paragraph because everything needs to be in order. So with concrete details, we want to think, if you think of like using someone like, let's say, Martin Luther King and his speech, the I Have a Dream speech, your concrete detail is going to be about a time where words were used to inspire change. So you would set that up for your reader. And then you'll need to give a concrete detail about the change that is needed to help your reader understand. Your commentary will then explain how the CDs, your concrete details, showed change was inspired by the action in the topic. So to help you better understand this, let me show you an example. So here's my topic sentence. Change can be made through the power of persuasion. In 2019, activist Greta Thunberg gave a speech at the UN's Climate Action Summit, demanding them for the lack of, condemning them for the lack of action to combat climate change. So if we go back, again, this concrete details about time where words were used to inspire change. So I've set up for my reader, it was during the UN's Climate Action Summit. So if I was doing Martin Luther King, I'd want to say on the March on Washington for equality and job rights. So I would set it up to explain what was going on with that speech. All right, our next sentence needs to be, the CD is about the change needed. In her speech, Thunberg urged world leaders to take actions, telling them the world is watching, and if they fail in their duties, change is imminent. All right, so that's what we just did. And then last, we now need to explain how these CDs show change was inspired. Thunberg used logical arguments and emotional appeals to persuade her readers to come together and use their authority to make desperately needed policies curbing the effects of the climate change, or the world will find someone who will. So that's commentary. Notice I didn't show, this shows that. Definitely can do that. This shows that Thunberg used logical arguments, blah, blah, blah. But we can start getting away or using stronger this shows that words than using the words this shows that. All right, so now you need to go back to your thesis statement. I did give feedback to the ones who had done the thesis statements on their help chart and gave you some feedback. So if I didn't leave any feedback, looks like your thesis statement was probably fine. If I did give you feedback, please fix your thesis statement before moving on, or your essay is not going to be successful, because in order to have a successful essay, you have to have a clear thesis statement. Now, what happens if you're writing your, you've done your introduction and all that, you've done your thesis and you're working on your body paragraph, but you're stuck. You don't know what to write. Well, then if you're going to struggle there, you need to rethink your thesis statement, because maybe you got too specific. Maybe you need to be a little bit, and then you think about rewording it to say it differently, and just be very general but specific enough where it's not too vague. So go back to your thesis statement then, and look at the first topic you talked about, and then again, set it up. Set the concrete detail about the times where words used to inspire change. Write a concrete detailed sentence about the change that was needed, and then write a commentary sentence that explains how the CDs, how these two concrete details show change was inspired by whatever the action is you were saying you gave for an answer in your thesis statement. All right, and so when you're done with that, I haven't posted this yet. I'm going to hold off and actually post this on Thursday, your graphic organizer. You're going to be taking your T-charts and then putting them into the graphic organizer. So from your T-chart, you have your thesis statement, which will go here in this first box. You will use your first concrete detail. Now, your T-charts aren't perfectly written, so you will need to make sure you have a transition. If you notice in my concrete detail, the transition did not have a for example or for instance. So make sure that you are using your transitions, and you're going to need to probably clean up and do a better job of the way you word things here from your T-chart. This is just a rough draft, and this is just making another step to make it better. And again, same thing with the commentary, which goes in the green box here with commentary. The only thing we didn't do in our over here on that page prior to our graphic organizer is the closing sentence. So just remember, you have to have a closing sentence. You can't just drop it off and leave it off. And that closing sentence needs to create a closing sentence by restating your topic sentence, the same meaning, just different wording. Okay, so that's pretty much where we're at. I'm really expecting to see people at the Google Meets on Wednesday because this is writing and you need some feedback and you need to ask questions. And this is a test grade, and a lot of you cannot afford to have anything below a really high essay grade for a test grade. So I expect to see some of you there asking questions and getting help. And if you want to have a one-on-one Google Meet, I expect that you will make those arrangements, as it's your responsibility to reach out to me. So make sure you're keeping up with all your work, and each day that you're doing the writing I'm giving you, so that you don't have everything bogged down to you on the end. Remember, you have one day for each day to turn in your later work, and those dates are posted on your worksheets. So if you have any questions, please email me, message me, let me know. Y'all have a good day.